there's much more going on too. This is called acoustic tomography. Scientists use this technology to study the ocean. It turns out the ocean, it's not homogeneous. It has all of this structure. So you've got like layered with currents and temperature changes and salinity shifts and different pressure gradients and columns, and like, so as sound moves through the water, it gets refracted and distorted by all these forces in all these particular ways. So each of these lines on this map is an acoustic path. So when the Navy studies this path, it can figure out all kinds of things about the properties of the ocean between where it's, between where it's looking and where it's receiving the sound. So this bioacoustics expert I know at Cornell named Chris Clark, he thinks the whale's probably doing something similar. So not only are they determining what these objects are that are out there, but probably also how far away they are and what the water's like between there and them. I mean, they would have this incredibly rich sense of negative space. We see just like empty objects, they'd be really tuned into the kind of medium. So the question is, what would that be like? To have a sense of this texture of space. I like this next slide. So imagine you're on land and the air were like this. You could stand in a field and see the different patterns of wind and sky all swirling together. I think it'd be kind of like being beamed down into one of those psychedelic posters from the 60s, like. And so this is my song homage to this idea. So there you are standing on the hill and you're just all this negative space, doing cool, colorful things. Just take a hit of whale. So we're going to I'm going to try to pull that idea together into a single scene. So I want you to close your eyes. Everyone close your eyes. We're going to slip into the water again. Feel the wetness on your face. Dive down under the surface. As the heaviness presses into your skin, you feel every little shudder in the water column. This transmission of movement. Even without sound, you'd feel connected to other bodies because every little disturbance would push into your skin. The intimate feeling, this intimate feeling would be framed by this larger sense. Because as you send out pulses of sound, they come off you like sparks or like lines. You can almost see them. Each line would part space. It would lead you through a three-dimensional matrix of form and movement and texture. The fullness of that kind of world. You would feel everything, this vertiginous expansion outward into space so that you would feel as though you were suspended in a single field of awareness, kilometers wide. And through it all, the voices, the pulses of movement of your friends, your family, floating in this kind of bowl of light. Let's imagine a scene as it might play out on land. You're standing with some friends in a meadow, golden grass, motes of pollen in the summer air, crickets and bird songs. And each of your friends, they fan out in a different direction. Just as you lose sight of them, you close your eyes. You suddenly feel them all around you, moving over distant hills. And you'd feel the contours of the land, too, an undulation that presses into your back, the distant trees bristling on your neck, across your scalp. I'm curious, can anyone even begin to, for a second, imagine anything of what that might be like? Can you just feel a twinge of sympathy with what I'm saying? You get it? I think something very interesting happens when we do these exercises. We kind of push our imaginations out to new registers of sensitivity. To me, it's an example of that transition zone of just beginning to push on that membrane just a tiny bit. But there's even more. You can open your eyes. We've been talking about the potential for sperm whales to pick up information about the external world, objects, but they may also have knowledge of the internal world. And this idea is kind of one of my favorite ones, and it's completely mind-blowing. To give you the story to so you know what I'm talking about, dolphins will get really excited when a pregnant woman, human woman, goes in to swim with the dolphins. They love it. They go crazy, you know. What's interesting is that if a woman with twins goes in the water, the dolphins freak out. They have a really negative response. And the reason is, if you have twins as a dolphin in the dolphin world, one of the twins is going to die because they can only suckle one baby at a time. So somehow those dolphins know there's two babies in there and not one baby. So this is, we know what an ultrasound is. Sound waves travel through skin. So there's a good possibility that cetacean echolocation illuminates the inner workings of the body, the organs, muscles, bones, which right there suggests a level of intimacy you could hardly imagine. Oh yeah, this is my niece in there. So think if you could send out a pulse of sound that would pass through skin. I mean, think if you had that ability. You know how much information is contained in the body. You could see if your neighbor were sick or pregnant or hungry. You might be able to watch the flow of blood or the accelerated beating of the heart, see tightness in the diaphragm, tension in the muscles. You'd know right before someone was going to act because there'd be a muscle response that would be starting out. And of course, this incredibly massive brain processing all that audio stuff. It's so thick with connectors, super, super fast. I mean, you'd know so much about your external world and about each other. And you wouldn't just know it. It's not something you wouldn't just see it. You would feel it because you'd be receiving the information back into your body and sending it back out again, back and forth, this sort of empathetic echo. And that's because all of this knowledge is probably shared. Which is why I love this. This is a mandala. I like this with a suggestion of many eyes radiating out of a single source. The sperm whale sends out an echolocation click, bounces up the target, comes back not only to the sperm whale, but everyone else, all their companions. So all acoustic signals will do this. So basically, the whole group is part of a single sensory loop. Again, imagine being able to see through the eyes of your neighbors, seeing through the eyes of your friends. It's like something out of science fiction, like one head with a dozen set of eyes, each looking in a different direction in a plot of ocean. So at the moment that, I mean, this is definitely speculation, but it seems like given that they have these incredibly large brains and they had so much time to develop these functions, something like that could easily happen. So let's go back to the family of sperm whales. Again, close your eyes. So there you are, suspended in the water, sending out pulses of sound, immersed in a shimmering field of these patterns. You can follow those pulses out in any direction, to the surface or down to schools of fish, to squid belly dancing in the depths, to the plunging contour of the ocean floor. But mostly you follow them back to the warm lit bodies of your family, who turn to meet you, to receive your signal, which curves through each soft interior. You know how they feel. You feel how they feel. On your skin, you feel your mother's disposition, a reassuring transmission of pressure that connects your whole family through the water column. It draws you in, you heave too, and slide roughly past each familiar form. You click and purr and repeat the name of your clan. These are some of the things you experience. The cumulative suggestion of all these ideas is that whales seem to embody a very high level, sophisticated level of sociality. The cooperative culture and communication, the synchronicity, the emotional complexity, the sharing of sensory information, seeing inside, can open your eyes. The sense you get is of a mind more communal than our own, more interwoven with other minds in the group. And that is really kind of magical. And it begs an interesting question related to our thesis. Can we relate to a mind like that? To a mind that, for all we know, may be crooning about the pressure gradients of melancholy or some kind of idea like that. Some notion that would at first be incoherent to us. Well, I think we can, and I've tried to show a little bit about science and a little bit of imagination and empathy, but there's more we can do here.